he consistently landed that left hook over and over
off
and
the
over
break
again.
What's up, guys? I'm the Ginger
and the Bear,
and I have a bone to pick with any of you who don't smash the like button to help us with the algorithm. But in all seriousness,
but also the bone to pick is why everybody thinks that fucking Benavidez is hot garbage all of a sudden.
I'm so mad. And I think a lot of this has to do with Mr. Michael Bisping, the Count, who is actually one of my all-time favorite fighters, but who I have a bone to pick with in the commentary, who was leading everyone to believe that Figueiredo was in control of the Benavidez match for the duration of the fight, which is just not, it's not true.
So whenever we do the reactions, we do not hear the commentary. And I do think the commentary, when you hear Joe Rogan go, "Oh, he's tagged, over and over again, or when you hear fucking Dan Hardy, who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, it does have a persuasive opinion on the audience.
100%.
And if you turn off the audio, what you notice about the first round is that fucking Benavidez won that fucking
round.
fight.
He won the round comfortably, even though it was very competitive.
And it was very competitive. I would say I would give Benavidez a 10 on winning, and I would say
if we were allowed to do percentages,
it would be 10% to maybe 80%, right?
Yeah. So
it was very close.
If we could not do a 10-9, it would be like a 10-9.5.
Right.
But it was still like, oh, under the rule set, this is clearly a Benavidez round.
But why did Benavidez win that round? And I would love to hear your guys' arguments about this, but he consistently landed that left hook over and over
off
and
the
over
break
again, which, if you pay attention to Figueiredo's legs, they were rocked. He was not tired. He was rocked, for sure.
Yeah.
Benavidez just didn't have the power to put him away.
And to be fair, I think Benavidez was exchanging power for speed.
Yes.
And I think that was a tactical decision, and that's how Benavidez fights.
Yeah.
Like, people were, I was reading so many comments online, it was driving me up the fucking wall. Everyone's like, wow, Benavidez doesn't know how to fight anymore. Wow, Benavidez, he's so old. He used to do this too, but he was just fast enough before. No, like, Benavidez was fighting the same way. He actually does a really good job of he's the shorter fighter. Figueiredo missed weight, let's not forget. When you actually saw them in the octagon, remember we were watching, I said, wow, it looks like there's a weight class in between these fighters.
It looked like Figueiredo was freaking 135.
Yeah, and Benavidez, who does not have good reach for his height, on top of being the shorter fighter, has to have a way to get hands on the taller, longer fighter. And how does he do that? He sprints in. And honestly, I thought he did a really good job of mitigating the damage he was taking by leading with the bony part of his skull.
Yeah.
He was diving in.
It's a legit tactic, especially with MMA gloves.
Yeah. And everybody likes to pretend like it's not a legit tactic because, number one, it does actually scare off the opponent from taking a
headbutt.
Accidental headbutt.
Which did not work in Benavidez' favor
in this specific instance. But until then, it was working. Like, Joey jumping in, leading with his skull, actually protecting his chin and parts of his structure pretty well with his shoulders.
And landing the 3 on
over and over. And beating up the body of Figueiredo, too, who had a rough weight cut. And you could tell some of the body shots were really impacting him in round number 1. Joey was doing a great job. Every time Figueiredo was exiting a clinch or an exchange, Joey was landing the 3. And this is what's so frustrating is then just because Figueiredo, they clash heads. It was definitely not an intentional headbutt, but honestly, if there was intention on either side, it was from Joseph.
Yes. Yeah, it was 100%.
100% Joseph was the one who initiated the headbutt, but he's the one who got cut. I don't think he was concussed. A lot of people were saying like, oh, he's out. Oh, he's concussed. I'm sure it hurt. I think he was more distracted by the blood.
Yeah.
And so like, what happened? What just happened?
He was backing up. So most people said, oh, well, he's going in with his head, right?
Joey B lost because he was leading and jumping into exchanges, leading with his face, which, you know what, guys? You know who the two people who like to scream the most about MMA fighters having bad defenses are? It's thing 1 and thing 2. Like, we cannot shut the fuck up about MMA fighters having terrible striking defense. And we're saying Joseph wasn't doing that bad in the context of what he was doing.
In boxing with the padded gloves, there isn't that deterrent to break your hand as easily.
Yeah.
Right? And just so everybody knows, you get knocked out when you whip the head, and the best way to whip the head is hitting the chin.
Or alternatively, like you can get your equilibrium disrupted to set up that, but that's hitting about.
Not saying you can't land a temple shot and it be very devastating, but Figueiredo was not doing that at all.
He was landing forehead for the most part, except for the shots he did land, but he almost never actually caught Joseph jumping in, except for the very first exchange of the fight when we were like, oh no, Joseph, when he really got hurt.
Also,
he didn't snipe. Like, everyone's acting like Figueiredo counter-struck and sniped Joseph. He didn't.
There was a clash heads. There was a clinch.
Joseph backed up, distracted by the blood, put himself on the fence.
And Figueiredo framed and hit him while he was going backwards.
It wasn't a counter strike at all, and that's why it's so frustrating to hear people try to diagnose what Joseph did wrong, because it's completely incorrect. He was winning the fight by initiating the exchanges that he was initiating.
Second round, I will say it was going toward Figueiredo started sitting down on his right hand, which I did think he was winning that round. But I definitely Benavidez won the first one handily.
It's just it's frustrating. It's interesting. Congrats to Figueiredo. It was a great performance. But just because somebody seizes their opportunity to finish a fight and does so in dramatic fashion does not mean that the fight was a slaughter. It doesn't mean the fight wasn't competitive up to that point.
Yeah.
You can have first round knockouts that are incredibly dramatic and also incredibly competitive fights. It's like saying in football, the team wins, so therefore it's not a competitive game. It's just not that way. And MMA, the match can end at any time, and it can still be a hard-fought competitive fight, which this was.
Look at in recent memory, right? Tyson Fury versus Wilder won.
Yeah.
Right? The better boxer, and if you think Wilder won that first fight, get the fuck off this channel. You're a fucking fool. But
let me just leave real quick because I did that whole video.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, Wilder legitimately, he was the power puncher, right? Fury was winning every single exchange. He was a dominant boxer. He was dominating him, but then Wilder hit that shot, right? It didn't mean that Fury was not dominating that whole entire round. But then all of a sudden, it's controversy. It's controversy. And I feel like with power punchers, they lose their technique because they're gifted with this ability to shut somebody out in one shot. And Figueiredo is a power puncher.
Really good power puncher.
And Benavidez was doing a really good job of taking away some of the attributes that power punchers have, which means they have to stand, they have to put their weight down and throw the punch. And that takes up precious time.
And usually, especially in MMA, they're not good at throwing stuff short.
Right.
They're usually, boom.
And what ended it? It was the frame to the long right hand.
It was such a gorgeous
shot. It was gorgeous.
I was so sad, but it was beautiful.
But also, we have to remember that fucking Figueiredo lost weight. No, sorry.
He was 2.5 pounds over. That's 25% of the way to the next weight class.
Which is insane. Which just makes him more of a power puncher. But having that weight. And I wanted Figueiredo to win. I think he'll be a phenomenal champion. I think it'll be...
If he can make weight,
If he can make weight,
he's not the champion.
Yeah. He's the underground champion.
And that brings us to, like, what the hell do we do with Flyweight? What the hell do we do with Flyweight now? I think... There's really not. Can you think of a contender that you would be like, oh, I really want to see Figueiredo go against?
Well, he can't, right? He either because Figueiredo lost against Formiga, right? But Formiga lost against Benavidez, right?
And Formiga hasn't had like a capstone like
win
let's
go.
That. Yeah, it's difficult, and unfortunately, the whole narrative like it's hard to sell the rematch. I would watch the rematch. I think that's a fun fight. Yeah. I would watch it, but the way that I'm sort of getting a feel for. The MMA community's perception of the fight, they'll just be like, why would we watch this again? This was a slaughter. Which it wasn't. It wasn't. And everything's wrong.
It was such a fun fight. It was a great fight.
Honestly, if we could get Cejudo down, I would love to see Cejudo versus
Figueiredo.
That'd be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen.
That would solve the flyweight.
That would solve everything if Cejudo came down. That would solve everything. Is that going to happen?
Maybe.
No, he's fighting Aldo, bro. He's not even fighting any of the, as much as I love Aldo. He's not even fighting any of the legitimate contenders in the division.
You're right.
So it's no way he's going down to for Figueiredo.
You're right.
There's no way.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but that if I could match make, that's what I would make happen. Cejudo, Figueiredo. I think the only option they have, because they've done such a terrible job of building the division, is to do Benavidez, Figueiredo 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most fair thing for the UFC to do, since Benavidez still took the fight, and in my opinion, did the UFC a favor by doing so, and not saying, no, of course I'm not going to take this fight. This is ridiculous. So I think...
Because missing weight's a big deal.
At the lighter weight. Like, if it was 2.5 pounds at heavyweight, I do not care. I could not care less. But it's 2.5 pounds at 125. That's like a big percentage. And it's ridiculous. It's just ludicrous. And I think they're going to do 2. I think the UFC doesn't want to set a precedent like, oh, okay, you're going to go out, you're going to do us a favor, and then we're going to shaft you. Yeah. And by the way, there's no champion at flyweight. I think they're going to do a rematch. I think they're going to do it for a belt. And then I think it's just going to be...
Which is the worst case scenario.
It's awful.
Because it was already like, well...
This is already bad. This is already bad. Ooh, that would be... I would love to see that fight.
I would love
Johnson versus Figueiredo.
Oh,
that would be so much fun. Because I'd say I don't think Mighty Mouse fought like a true... like good technical power puncher. Like there are some power punchers at flyweight, but this is the first power puncher I feel like that sort of has the distance management, that has the timing to put it all together. Yep. And this would be such a fun matchup to watch.
It would be.
And there's also like UFC's done such a bad job. There should be another contender that would be like, oh, okay, well, let's give Benavidez a little bit of time. Let's give him the matchup for the next title shot. Even if it's off this loss, that's fine, because he did us a solid. But let's have Figueiredo fight somebody else right now for the actual belt.
And it'd be great if Mighty Mouse Johnson came back. I really wish he came back, but he's not going to.
He's not going to. So flyweight, the land of the what ifs. Yeah. So if we're running it, I think the only option you have, because you've done such a bad job building contenders, is to do the rematch. And I really hope that this is a signal that the UFC needs to actually start building contenders at flyweight.
I agree.
So... that being said, guys, comment down below what you think. If you disagree with us about how we see the Formiga-Benavidez fight, actually tell us. Yeah. I'm super curious, because we watched without audio. We watched super, super closely.
I wanted for...
You were rooting for Formiga. Oh,
no, Figueiredo.
Yeah. You're rooting for Figueiredo. I was rooting for Benavidez, but I feel like it was clearly round 1 for Benavidez, and I thought round 2, I agree with you, was going towards Figueiredo.
You can see it in our reaction, too.
Yeah.
I mean, we solidly thought that it was... Benavidez.
And so I was actually shocked. I thought everyone was just gonna be like, damn, Figueiredo's a solid finisher. It was a competitive fight, and he was awesome to, like, speaking of Yoel Romero, like, veteran octagon experience to take advantage of a fighter being slightly distracted and not do a sparring break, but instead press forwards, set yourself, and throw the finishing blow. Don't rush into it too much. Also, don't step off the gas. Accelerate, put your foot to the pedal to the metal at exactly the right moment to chase the finish. Yeah. I thought that should be the narrative, and I think that actually gives Figueiredo more credit than the other narrative. But that being said, guys, let us know in the comments down below. Ginger
and the Bear.
And we out. Oh, check out our Is It Real Adesanya Yoel Romero stuff coming out later this week, because we are so damn excited. So see ya.